Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Teresa's Crafty Cabana. So I'm actually out in the mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, on vacation, and we're in a little cabin. There's fall leaves falling all around and it's almost Halloween. I'm definitely feeling inspired by the colors of the brightly colored trees, still with reds and yellows and oranges. Most of the leaves are actually falling off of the trees at this point, at least a lot more of them than if we'd come maybe a week or two earlier. But there's still plenty of color to see, lots of layers in the landscape. So the just pops of the reds and the orange trees in the landscape, still amongst the green. It's really quite beautiful. And I was able to go out and find a few leaves that hadn't been crispy yet, that hadn't been too dried out, that I was able to jelly plate with. I have quite a few different leaves that I picked up with different shapes. Some acorns. Pine cones are really cool for texture. This is just pine leaves or pine needles, some sticks, some bark pieces. So I'm going to just jelly print a little bit and kind of layer up these different textures to get some really neat looking fall prints. I'm also going to be using some fall colors over here, a few metallics, maybe some blacks and whites and browns. I'm going to start with a kind of a berry wine red color. I think I'll pick up some of my red leaves. A couple of different ones, and maybe one more over here. Okay, and I've got a piece of paper underneath, so I think I can just layer it up. Press down really well into those veins. Oh, that one looks really cool. So these are freshly fallen, but maybe a day old, some of them. I just went out and picked out leaves that weren't too crispy yet. Some of them had already started to curve a little, but they're still flexible. So this is what I've got left on my plate. I am going to let that dry, and I'll come in with a layer of some metallic, probably copper. I just picked up a few things that caught my eye. I was really looking for different textures of the veins and different shapes of the leaves. I picked up a few sticks, some pine needles, just a few different things to get a little variety in my jelly printing. In Florida, I don't have quite this. I might have these kind of leaves, but they just don't catch my eye quite like the colorful ones do. So I wanted to just really play around with the colors that I was seeing on my paints and also be able to kind of put together a little ensemble of patterns that remind me of my trip. So I brought a little jelly plate with me, just the 5x7, and then I also brought with me my 6-inch brayer and a few of the fall colored paints that I have. These are just craft paints. I'll just see where this goes. I don't have my heart set on anything in particular. I just want to kind of put the leaf shapes down and just really, since I'm not going to press them in a book, I'll take the leaf shapes home with me in my jelly prints. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, my next layer. I'll pull these off. And I'll let that layer dry. Next, I'll come in with this yellow color. Kind of make little flowers. And I'll use a new piece of paper to pull this one. So you've got this nice metallic, some of the leaves, and those that look like flowers from the pine cones. I want to keep layering up with this one. So for my next one, I'll do green. I will do some larger leaves. Probably gonna try to fill this area here. I'll usually do the other side, but that's okay. Maybe for these other areas, I want there to be color, so I'll just do some light texture. This is the cap to an acorn. A little tricky. This doesn't do too much. That looks pretty good. And then maybe a little bit of my stick texture. Okay. So there we have this nice leaf showing up over here. And I wonder, because that's still wet, I wonder if I can get the rest of it. Yes, pretty close. And so you see that red just darkened the green. Give it a little more shadowing. I want to do another layer on top here. This time I'll use my orange. I think this leaf looks kind of funny, so I'm going to use that one. Maybe over here. This one looks pretty neat. And maybe I'll come back in with some of these smaller ones. I'll do the same thing where I will press this over it, lining it up with my paper. Then I'll remove my leaves, and I kind of want to remove a little more texture from these leaves. A little piece of cardstock. Pull up a little bit of pattern, just because I want to be able to see the green through to the other side. Okay. So it'll go like this. All right, that's my next layer. And I think it needs just one more layer with some gold maybe on the top. All right, I'm going to do the gold, but I'm also going to mix in some of the yellow. Alright, so a nice thin coat here. I want to pick some of my larger leaves. Got this large one. Might do that. And my fern, and then this one. And can't see it too well, but there's the leftover, and I'll let that part dry. Actually, no, while it's still wet, I'll pull it up. Because of the light color, hopefully it'll show up on the dark colors here. Yeah. A little hard to see, but here you can see a little bit of the yellowish gold. When I tilt it in the light, you can see it a little bit better. I think I will stop with this one here. And for this one, I think I like that one, but I want to do one more where I build up my lighter to darker colors. Okay, so I put down some of my yellow color, and I'm just going to pull the full color onto my piece of paper. This way I will have a yellow background. Alright, so that's going to be my base yellow color. Then I'll work my way up to the orange. Okay, so on this one, I'll start with my smaller leaves. And I do like adding a little texture in here. I'll just use my Lego. And for every layer, I'm going to pull away the leaves. Press back down. And hopefully get all of those veins in each layer. Like that. Okay, so I've got my red down. Just gonna layer in some leaves. Do the same thing. Lift up on one side and start removing. And then on the other side. Okay. So you can see that the cool texture coming through up here. And then last, I'll do probably some green over the top of this. So for my green, I really like what I have going on here, but I'm thinking I might just do a light amount of green, like brayer a lot of it off. All right, that's a pretty thin coat there. I might come in with this interesting looking one like this. Maybe, oh, it's kind of big. That one, this one, and I like this one. Like that. And then what I might do, instead of using that, I want to remove a lot of the paint. So I'm going to press it with a separate piece of paper. And then just layer that on top. Oh yeah, that looks really cool. So now I've got this nice leaf over the top. Now it did take that other one behind it and kind of went over it, which I kind of expected to happen. So I might do smaller leaves in the front if I didn't want it to be as overtaking as that, but I really like that. I think I'll stop with that one. And I do want to do one more. I've already got a start to a green one here. What I might do is put a little bit of my gold down. And see if I can get some background color with this one. So So I think I'll just line it up. That looks pretty cool. So that will be the base layer on this one, and I think I'll just let this dry, and then I'll go in with maybe some orange and red and kind of do an ombre and remove a few more leaves and then pull that on top of this. Okay, so I've got my orange and my red color. I think I'll do, so just trying to think, preserve a little bit of maybe this side. Do this over here, this one like that, and maybe a small one. Actually, I like the pine needles, so I'll do the pine needles over here. Maybe even that one there. Okay. I didn't get too many of the needles up, so let's move these and just pick up the rest. My paper's already getting really saturated. This is just copy paper. This is probably the last layer that it will let me add to this, unless I let it dry completely. All right, I think that looks really cool. So you can still see the green and the yellow in the background. Well, the gold, and then these darker colors on the front just kind of make it pop. I think I like that, but this one also looks really cool. The big leaf on the front. This one, it did get a little lost, so I'm wondering if I do just a little more of my red, since it's my darker color. I'll do some needles. How about this really big one here? Ferns. And this one. Ah, yeah, that looks really nice. So you can still see some of those layers underneath. They were getting a little lost anyway. So now it's got some crisp layers with the red on top, because it's the darkest color, so you can see all of these leaf patterns take shape. So I think that one looks cool. This one. And that one, maybe like this. I guess it doesn't really matter. And I think that really captures all those leaves that I was able to collect. This one, I just left alone. It had the little bit of copper left in there, the leaf shapes, and then these are, remember, the pine cone designs. I'll leave that one as is. But I think that that was a really fun session just to play with some of my leaves, the colors, get some fall tones going as the leaves are falling all around. Thanks for watching and following along as I jelly print out in a cabin setting in kind of a rural area. And I hope this inspires you to jelly print with some things you find around wherever you are. And I hope you have fun printing. Happy crafting, y'all!